Hello and welcome, beautiful humans, to this episode. Today I'm joined by Frankie Maduzia. Did I say that correct?
Yeah, exactly. From the mountains of Poland. Legend has
Frankie,
it.
Frankie, you are a legend. You are many things, among which are world traveler, adventure seeker, social butterfly, and business owner. And today I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me. And talk a little bit about your journey into becoming a business owner. So maybe before diving into that, what were some of your career paths prior to starting your own business?
Yeah, it's a good question. Good place to start. Let's see. Gosh, going back, early college days, right? So I was pretty fortunate to be enrolled in high school and community college at the same time. So I saved a lot of money on tuition. Washington State had this program called Running Start or something like that, and you could test into community college, and the high school would flip the bill. So that was quite nice. And I needed to do that because I realized I wouldn't be able to graduate in time because I took a half a year off being an exchange student in Ecuador. So that's kind of what planted those travel bugs, and might have started everything, just the way I started perceiving the world. But anyway, so then transferred from the community college to Portland State. I was pretty lucky, some soccer scholarships, and get kind of I played some sports and had college pretty much paid for. I was paying as I go, so never took out the student loan route. And I was going to school for public health. Thought I wanted to make a career in medicine, probably be like a PA. Really liked dermatology, hygiene, infectious disease, and thought that'd be fitting for travel and culture. And ended up getting in school, and like most young adults, which is my major, and discovered healthcare IT, which was medical informatics. And that was kind of the big boom of Obamacare and digital healthcare world. And I was part of that. I would travel around to different hospitals and clinics and kind of do some implementation of mostly Epic. I worked with Horizon Clinicals and McKesson, a couple other healthcare medical software companies, but it was mostly Epic. And then decided I didn't like working for the man, just corporate life. I loved my job, loved helping people, loved optimization of physicians' days and nurses, and just the ins and out of the medical world. But there was so much work for very little gain, frankly. So I think that's what pushed me to see an opportunity and to start a small business. That was kind of a major drive. I loved what I did, great time off, good benefits, but there's still systems in place where, if I wanted this day off to go to Japan for skiing, I'd have to request X amount of time off in advance, and then have all the PTO and all the ducks in a row, and then still get denied. And it's kind of funny, HR would deny you just because they might be short-staffed, 6 months out on their matrix. Yet there's times where they're like, well, you haven't taken a vacation so long, so we got to pay you out, your vacation pay in dollars. You're getting denied vacation, but yet they're paying you out. They're telling you to take the vacation, so it's kind of annoying. But anyway, I think it's a lot of reasons why people quit corporate life probably, or and go out on their own, is mostly because just the freedom that they search for. And the irony of it is, when you own a small business, there's a whole lot of it unless you work really, really hard and you're willing to let your baby go, as they say. And I think that's really important, and I think that could be one of the biggest mistakes to small business owners is, they could be the visionary, they could be, all the guts of going out and being that entrepreneur and taking that leap. But what they might lack is handing, the company over, or bringing in somebody that really knows what they're doing, that's basically more well qualified than you are to run your own business. And I think that's an important step to do in business. It'll also give you your freedom back if you don't do it. Then I think your business might just keep treading water, I suppose. Anyway, I guess so going into what I do, and the idea was I lived in Portland for 10 years, kind of could see myself as a Pacific Northwest native, and I was going to Bend, Oregon for everything amazing had to offer, taking extended weekends. If I had a 3 or 4 day weekend from the medical life, I'd go over there for, just outdoor recreating, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, just, surfing in the desert, just drinking beer in the summer. It's fantastic. Well, you could drink beer year round, but Bend has they boast that they have the most craft breweries per capita for a population of 100,000 or less. So lots of beer there. But it's an outdoor mecca. Even in the winter, backcountry skiing to downhill and bachelor, and it's endless. Frozen waterfalls, it's a whole nother time of year. It's fantastic. But anyway, I was out there and couldn't find affordable lodging. Literally couldn't find a place to stay. Went on a whim to drive to Bend and didn't even have a reservation. And cheapest thing I could find was like $150 for a quick, ghetto hotel motel, off the main strip. And there was also mold everywhere in the bathroom, and just when I pulled in, I realized I was only sleeping probably 5 hours, and I climbed all day, then pub crawled and drank all night and socialized, and then just needed a bed to sleep. And then found this place last minute, and I was on my way to Crater Lake early in the morning, but pulling in like this ghetto motel, people are shelling out $150, and there's Jeeps and 4Runners and excursions and Subarus. There's like really, really nice vehicles in this horrible hotel, and I'm just like, what's going on here? And I was waking up early to get an early start, probably like 8 a.m. and I thought that was kind of early, but all the vehicles were gone, and I just realized people are shelling all this money to just put their head down, and they're not getting anything out of it. There's got to be some cost savings here for individuals, and some type of experience that they could have as well, something better just than what we had. So that kind of planted the seed, and that I knew an adventure hostel or community lodging would be a good fit for Bend, Oregon. And so it's kind of where a quick little idea came from, and have an awesome business partner in Portland a couple years later. Ended up meeting a good friend of mine now. His name's Jay, and met him through playing indoor soccer, futsal, and met him through a mutual friend of ours. His name's Jinichi, and so a good friend of ours, and playing soccer, and then had some beers, and just got to talking, and we're like, wait, he was a licensed Oregon State lawyer or attorney, and he ended up quitting his job, doing his big trip, going to South America, and coming back up and looking for a hostel project. And I was in the process of also doing a hostel project as well. So we just kind of combined forces and resources and unique skills that we both bring to the table with our personalities.
That's so great that you saw a need for something, and you decided to make something happen. You saw this need that all these adventures are here. They just need somewhere to crash their head, and it's not nice what was offered, and especially the cost value is not there. And so you're like, well, how can I fill this void? And then I love that when you decide that you wanted to do that and you committed to that, the universe opened up for you, and you met the people you needed to meet to make it happen. That sounds about right, because that was from the idea to startup is probably at least 2.5 years or so, and that's just kind of keeping an eye on just it's like just starting it, and I knew Bend needed it, but we were also looking at the Oregon coast and just trying to find real estate where it'd pencil out and fit, but that's right, just kind of just waiting for the right moment. And I felt like I couldn't be in the minority when something like that affected me personally. I was like, I can't be the only one here. Like, I have to be crazy to think like that I'm the only one that like this affects. And so 4 years later, I think it's proven that I'm not the only one. So from when you first thought this idea up to actually opening your business, what did that journey look like? I think it was keeping an eye on real estate. It was making a handful of trips to Bend to see real estate.
and just kind of penciling out, how do you find a location that, is, has the right zoning and the right code compliance for, the type of business I want to run. It's there's a lot of logistics there with government, and do you get a business loan? Do you try to buy it as like a house? Do you get private investors? Do you bootstrap it all yourself and, go all in? And so there's a lot of different ways, you could slice that pie, I suppose. And my business partner and I ended up doing the bootstrapped method with some investors, debt to own. So family investors, debt to own with our own personal assets. So he sold some stock. I cashed out my 401 employer match funds that was with the hospital. And a lot of people, don't touch your savings, don't touch your retirement. But if you could leverage that, and it gives you the lifestyle you want to have, and gives you better passive income than it would have done in the market, to create something kind of amazing, you got to go for it. You got to just jump all in. So, it was kind of my business is pretty lucky that, it's a hostel, it's a house. And so we were able to kind of pull it off as like, let's get, this home loan and run a business out of it. So versus, business loans have much higher interest rates. And then, creating this business plan and then pitching it to banks is a joke. That's not a thing. No bank will invest in any business startup. Now, some angel investors may. That comes with high interest as well, and or you deal out equity. And it's something we haven't done yet as well. So, we're true 50-50 business partners, and we largely bootstrapped everything. We did bring in one debt investor a year ago to buy the house next door, and after 1 year, we were able to cut him out. So it penciled out. So, we've done unique things to get the deals done, I suppose. And family has helped a lot. And highs and lows, and times when they're high and low times when they're low. But keep putting your head down, keep working, and
Yeah, and you believe in it. You believe in it, and your community believes in you.
No, that's right. We've, one thing that my business partner and I are both not is, builders, and, the unforeseen cost that comes involved when you start construction. And so we built this amazing outdoor bathhouse that's for van lifers, the hostel guests, and the community. And we built a food truck pod, a mini one, 2 food trucks and 1 beer tap truck, so beverage truck, and the bar is ours. But, there was a lot of unforeseen cost in infrastructure and in building. And so that was something that, I think I'm a lot more rounded and versed in now, and I'll always pencil probably 30%, higher margins than anybody tells me, or just over budget, So, but that's, it's and talking about the community believing in it, it's just the backpackers keep coming in, and the adventure travelers, and every dollar we make just goes back into the business. We're scaling it and making it something awesome.
So I'd like to hear more about what exactly you offer at Bunk and Brew, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah.
Bunk and Brew.
We like to,
because you said you wanted to offer a unique experience, something that wasn't just a place to rest your head. So what does that look like?
Yeah, so, I think the great thing about a hostel is it really breaks down barriers and boundaries. And so that's an aspect of the community aspect of it. So, the people that you meet along the way. But we were offering some excursions. Now they're kind of more organic. We have a shuttle van called the Dirtbag Express, and we'll take staff and guests up to the mountain. We'll take them on a river float. We'll take them rock climbing at Smith Rock. It's not so structured anymore just because of the nature of COVID and travelers and people coming and going. But we use it for a lot of one-off adventures, and that does happen weekly. Let's see, the beer garden portion, we have live music, fire spinning. We have a sauna. That's a Finnish-inspired sauna. And the bathhouse, so that's more showers and toilets. And so, digital nomads come in, and, Westleys and Sprinters, and they could pay for a day use package, gets you $15, gets you a beer, shower, laundry, Wi-Fi, kitchen space, WeWork space, so pretty affordable. It gets you full day use access for $15. I think we charge a little bit more, $25 for overnight with the van. But yeah, I think we like, our mission is kind of a community and affordability, and it's not just the community aspect of a hostel and lodging, but it's bringing in the local Bend community to mix that with our adventure travelers and real travelers. So, yeah, it's kind of just, a unique hub.
It sounds fantastic. It sounds great. I love that you're bringing in the local community and getting them involved as well.
Yeah, that's important. We do garbage pickups in the community. We've done volunteering at soup kitchens and stuff. So we like to kind of be stewards of our town.
That's wonderful. If everybody did that, imagine, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. I know it'd be pretty. Yeah. If everybody just chipped in and did a little bit for the community, it'd be amazing.
So I want to ask about intuition. When I originally asked you about being on the show, you said that you use intuition to make business decisions. Can you share a little bit of that?
Yeah. I think that's where Bunk and Brew is really where we're at in 4 years is looking back at it is pretty amazing. And I think a lot of that is, this yin and yang in business partnership that I have with my business partner and I. And, he's a licensed Oregon attorney, and he's type A and he's more structured, and I'm more type B, and I lead with more intuition. I think where that comes from is just, my morals and upbringing and personality, and just, I come from kind of farm life and experiences and hands-on work type of deal. And so I could, it's interesting because I did go to school for healthcare IT, which is very analytical, databases and analysis, and just it's an IT world, and you got to have your ducks in a row in that aspect. So I did study a good amount of analytical information, but I feel like I could compartmentalize my thoughts and my life experiences pretty fast to make a relatively calculated decision one way or another. And this could be anything from, either like picking the right contractor for, a high-end job or deal. You just kind of sit down and you can look at the numbers, but you could also read the individual person and the body language of, how they present themselves, how they act, to, unruly guests at the hostel, and just, what can be tolerated and not tolerated, and just even from the check-in process, the hostel, there's so much community aspect to it. It's just like one, negative person or, a bad apple could really ruin the pot, and I don't mean to say that we really filter and screen, I really don't want to have any boundaries in life and everybody's welcome, but at the end of the day, the hostel is a traveler's house. We do want people coming from and going to, and we kind of have like a the locals policy. Typically, we don't allow locals to stay, and that's because we found that in that aspect, they maybe are in a crisis situation, whether they just got kicked out or lost their housing or lost their job, and it's it could be a slippery slope, is like what I'm trying to say. And so we really need to have that type of that vibe of just travel. So at check-in, we have screening questions that I've from working the desk myself over probably 2 years. We started hiring employees about the 1.5 year mark, but anything that we've done at the hostel, my business partner and I've done, is what we would have our employees do. We wouldn't ask them to do anything else. But after working the ropes there and just learning of just being at the front desk, it's important to ask screening questions like, where are you coming from? Where are you going to? What brings you to town? And you'd be surprised people will open up and share that information. On the PCT or on the trail, or I just came for skiing for the week, or I'm from, you can hear an accent, right away, or you see the passport, they're a traveler. Then others, that's kind of that down on the luck, like, I just, boyfriend and girlfriend just kicked me out of the house, and, I live here in town, I work here in town, and, at that point, it's not a good fit. So we have to kind of like, we're a traveler's house, we're here for international people, and yeah, to kind of steer them away. But I think that's, I don't know, from small scale to big scale of just kind of leading with your your gut. I think there's a wide range. I don't know if that covers it all. Kind of was a big of a rant there, but
yeah, no, I mean, I think that definitely starts to share. How do you tap into your intuition? How do you know that it's coming from intuition?
Well, I think body language and being able to read an individual, I think, is really important. I think that's something that might be lacking in this next generation. I guess what's after millennials, Gen Z. Me being a boss now, I interview and a lot of individuals, and part of the hiring process, myself and my manager both do that. Now I'm passing off the torch, and my manager does a lot of it. But what I've noticed is Gen Z kind of lacks a lot of social skills, and I don't know if that's just being addicted to technology or how to use a third-party source to communicate to another individual. But I think body language is really important, and gosh, they should even teach this in college. Just reading individuals and just communication, and I think that's how I draw on mine, is just how they communicate to you, with others, what you witness, performance. I think that's key. And then my other aspect to that is I'll try to draw on my own life experiences. Has this ever happened to me somewhere in the world, or in my past, growing up in my childhood? Like, has something like this happened to me? And if so, is it bound to happen again? Or do I know somebody where a situation has happened to them? And I've heard that story, through, a trusted source, childhood friend or, sibling or something, or family. You can hear these stories, and you can try to, in a way, compartmentalize these stories. And these are all life lessons, like every human being is like a book, and they all have something to teach you. They all have journeys along the way.
Yeah.
Especially the older generation, especially the generation that's, that blue collar grit that has really seen a lot. So I think I draw on a lot of those resources to make a decision.
Yeah, nonverbal communication is majority of communication. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's like 75%. I'm throwing a random number out there.
Sure,
it's nonverbal. So I never thought about that with, the next generation that, especially in this COVID time, you're not seeing people. You don't see people.
Yeah.
And there's
exactly.
like, I know vibes are kind of like a wooey thing, but there's something to be said. There is a feel, like you get a feel for somebody. I think in dating they say like in the first 30 seconds, if you want to go on a second date with the person. We know we have intuition. We just sometimes don't trust it. And I think it's so wonderful that you allow yourself to do that, in selling your 401k or cashing out your 401k, logically it didn't make sense to do that. It's not the smart thing to do. It's not the safe thing to do. People were telling you this, but you trusted your intuition that you had something bigger to do, a bigger purpose on this planet, and you went for it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. And it's funny, like I didn't even know the definition of an entrepreneur in the first year of starting a business. I had no idea what that meant or what that was, and I don't consider myself one anymore. Maybe in the first 6 months I was, but I consider myself a small business owner, not an entrepreneur anymore. But I had to literally Google that definition and read about what an entrepreneur was. And it's just basically somebody that's more willing to take risk and seeker in life. And I know I like contact sports and adrenaline sports. I like, going fast and hard and doing crazy things and being remote. And that's when real adventure starts for me, when the unknown is finally accomplished. I think, that's something that I've always liked. So it's basically just being a risk taker. So, yeah.
Earlier you were talking about how in business you have to give up control eventually. Like you left your formal job that you enjoyed but didn't give you the freedom. So you started your own business wanting freedom, realized that there's not a lot of freedom when you own your own business, and then made the shift to being able to trust other people so you could get that freedom back once your business was up and running. How did you navigate that?
It's a good question, and it starts with a couple individuals. One is his name's Andrew, and another is Maya. And Maya started out as like an employee first, and then she was young, she was in college, and then she went to Peru to do her practicum in something in, I ask her all the time. She's my current manager. She's been killing me, but I was like, what, you got your degree in, Maya? And it's something like outdoor leadership or outdoor tourism or something to that nature. But the other individual was Andrew, and his is in hospitality management. So these individuals literally have degrees in a field of my business. Like, my business is hospitality, and he's got a bachelor's degree in hospitality management. I mean, I have no degree in business, no degree in anything that I'm doing, right? Other than just some basic life experiences. Andrew, it was our first manager, and he's definitely well qualified for the part. Started out as an employee, turned into our manager. And I think with a lot of small businesses, it's really important that you give your employees the lifestyle that they want to have, and the wages as well. And so we, from the beginning, did a revenue/profit share concept. Now, you can't say a profit share because our business actually isn't really profitable, quote unquote, and that's because we have a lot of what's known as CapEx, one-off expenses, and we kept scaling the business. We built this bathhouse, $100,000. We put in infrastructure for the food truck, $100,000. We just kept scaling and building. Well, these aren't fair to your manager, because that's something the businesses, the owners have chosen, and that that bottoms those CapEx bottoms your lower line, big expenses, right? And so on paper, it doesn't look like you're making a lot, but in reality, we're doing pretty well if we take those CapEx out. And so we would do a revenue share. So part of the revenue of every month that comes in, our management would get a percent of that. So they'd get their hourly wage plus a bonus program. And we really like that because incentivizes them to be the top dog, to want to be the main manager, the GM of the location. That comes with more responsibility, and it gives them better pay, and it's performance-based pay. I think it's a win-win for both parties, right? So if reservations started slacking and reviews started going down, well, the pay of our manager is going to go down, and that'll be reflected. And but on vice versa, if they work really hard and they get into some maybe they land some tour operator contracts, and we have a low season that becomes like a really good, strong season, then they're gonna do well, just as well. So those individuals kind of came to us and just landed in our lap. Just super lucky. They were just job postings, and one actually was Andrew was a Jimmy John deliveries driver for Jimmy John's, and I got really hungry one day, and I ordered a sub, and he's like, oh, what is this place? And we're like, a hostel. And he's like, whoa, he has this Triple Crown now. He's done the Appalachian Trail, like Continental Divide, and the T3T, and he's like, I didn't know Bend had a hostel. And he was like, you guys hiring? We're like, not yet. We have no money, but we will reach out to you when we do.
Wow, so, I love that.
Yeah, and he ended up being our manager for a year and a half to almost 2 years. About 2 years, and then and now Maya's our new manager. She started as an employee, then went to Peru, then came back, and she worked for kind of a corporate lodging business, and she thought she could climb the ranks with them, and didn't like that aspect because they were just basically not listening to her, and she didn't see any potential of climbing where she thought there might be, because they have multiple locations. And us, we have a vision to open up 2 or 3 more locations, but it's timing, and we're bootstrapped. So, there is potential to climb the ranks with us, but, it's the ranks are only as fast as we could, expand. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think
I love that you have. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, no. I think that's, yeah.
I was just going to say, I love that I think it's so smart to include your employees in the business, to really get them involved.
Absolutely.
Like, they're invested in it. They're a part of it. because if you're appreciated and you take something on as your own, of course you're going to care for it better. That's just human nature. So I think that's a really, really cool concept. And it shows that we've had people stick around.
Yeah, exactly. Employee retention's, that's another thing. And that's an interesting topic with the hostel. At management level, we want to keep them and give them, anything they want in life. But on a smaller level, it's always, with a hostel, we tend to see, just like our staff are kind of transient, the guests are too, having young, fresh blood come in as new hostel employees actually is really beneficial. They're stoked on the business, they're stoked on their job, they're stoked on a new area they've never been to, and so they really interact with a lot with guests. But after like a year, they kind of fall into routine and a pattern, and they might be less likely to go out on adventures and interact with guests and just show up at work, which is totally fine. But we like to kind of be young, hip, and we like to just really blend our staff with guests in the community. We like that. We like that fire, and it does really well. So yeah, it's from the management level, it's really the business taking on the personality of the managers and the current staff working there. I see it kind of like a living entity. It really takes on that personality of the current staff and the management, and then they should be able to be the ones to really make those decisions, and not, like myself as an owner, working on bigger projects in the back end. And, right now I'm in Tulum, Mexico. I can't be shaping, my business of what's on the ground. Like they should be shaping it. So give them that power to make those decisions.
Yeah, and you trust them. You trust your decision to hire the people that have the skills, and then you let the birdie go. You let them fly from the nest. Be free. Yep.
And same with the managers. We've given them anything from 4 months off to go hike a trail to weeks here and weeks there for vacation, every month. So it's just, as long as it's brought up in advance and we could just pencil it in and schedule it, then my manager will go take, maybe a month off, and I can come back and run the business for a month. And then, we got a good, solid team.
That's important. The foundation, right?
Absolutely.
So what's next for you? Oh, go ahead. If you want to talk about the foundation, go for it.
Oh gosh, I don't even know where to start. It is just going back to, I would never ask an employee to do something that I haven't already done. And, that's my business partner, Jay. We've, literally, every day we woke up, strip the beds, did the laundry, scrub the toilets, check in the guest, and then, show the guest the local spots, the pub crawl, or, adventures, climbing and stuff. So it's like, I would never ask, my staff to do something that I haven't done already. So that's just building that foundation and trust. Yeah. But what's next? Like we mentioned, this is an interesting time with COVID and small business and, co-working spaces and shared space and everything. And, I think, I'm in a co-working spot in Tulum, and there's digital nomads everywhere, and, nobody's wearing a mask and no social distancing here. And it's just, people are going to, kind of live their lives, and the world's going to go on. And I'm not trying to be one way is better than another way, but I'm really fortunate that my business was in a destination town. It was in an outdoor desired town, and so I wasn't reliant on like a big city like Portland, Oregon, where I already know 2 hostels had to close. And that's because, they're relying on the airplane to get there, international flights, trade shows, and, they're heavily, heavily dependent on just air travel and international travel. Well, my city was more dependent on the car and just driving there and the outdoor nature and outdoor recreation that it provides. So I've actually fared pretty well with my business, and we will be looking at expanding hopefully to the Oregon coast and somewhere up in Washington State. It's kind of the idea. We know the Pacific Northwest really well. There could be other business opportunities throughout the states and internationally, but I think it's critical to, focus on the area, the demographic, the travelers, the region that and just dial that in and lock it down, and then maybe make that big decision, big leap somewhere else. But yeah, I think that's what's next.
So more adventure hostels in the area that you know, which makes sense. Yeah. I think one of the best ways to travel is to go visit people that live somewhere, because they know all the cool little nooks and crannies in the underground and what to do and what to see, the best place to get a coffee and the best hidden hike that no tourists are on. And you provide that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how much you could steer individuals one way or another while they're traveling, and that's just because we give them raw, authentic, local experiences. Yeah.
And they don't have to have a friend there before they come, because then they have you.
Exactly. Oh, thank you. Yeah, not just me, but they have, my whole staff, and then all the other people in the hostel that are seeking, a similar experience. So, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of this, your business. And one thing I wanted to ask, so COVID hurt a lot of businesses, right? Like you just mentioned that a few, of a few hostels that had to close down in Portland. What did your business do to thrive? I know that you were saying that people didn't have to really, get on a plane to get there, or quarantine, or do those sorts of things. But how did you pivot with COVID and quarantine to continue to have a thriving business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was in Spain and Portugal when COVID was hitting Europe and Italy was locking down. I remember seeing that city in the north, can't remember the name, but I remember when they literally barricaded the whole city in like in a circle to try to contain it. And then just as we know now, what's happened. But I saw this happening in Europe, and it was pretty proactive with just informing my the other co-owner, Jay, my business partner, and our management team, saying that, this is kind of coming, and this is what we need to think of for the winter season, because we were coming into the winter. Coming into the summer. It was March when this lockdown was happening, so March, April, May, June. So what we did was we pivoted to a long-term stay program. So we accepted only 2-week reservations and 30-day reservations. And what we found was COVID actually largely displaced a lot of people in the world. From March, April, and May, when the whole world locked down, people couldn't travel. There was, from elderly people or retired people that are in their 50s, 50s plus age bracket. They might have been backpacking Europe or just traveling the world, and they didn't have any housing or, apartments or anything. And they knew then, and they knew that if they were going to be quarantined and locked down, they wanted to be in an outdoor recreation town. And we started offering 30-day affordable lodging for our private rooms and for our bunk beds. And we really pivoted our business model, and we were probably 95% long-term tenants. And most everybody canceled their reservations, but there was a few people that still came, and we honored the pre-existing reservations. But pretty much everybody canceled for March, April, and May. And then we had long-term tenants, and it worked. It wasn't profitable, but it was enough to pay the bills. We broke even, basically. And it was, for any type of business, it's actually critical to not go cash negative. And so or at least to keep some type of income coming in. And I was surprised to see how many small businesses that were literally, quote unquote, living paycheck to paycheck like an individual. I don't know if I was so blind that, a lot of restaurants and a lot of lodging businesses or just small businesses were just putting COVID aside, barely meeting ends meet. Everybody talks about you should always have a rainy day fund. I remember learning that in school, and from my folks were just like, yeah, if your car breaks down or your refrigerator goes out or some basic life necessities you need to do, you should have a rainy day fund. Well, I think we found out that most small businesses rainy day funds were, probably half a month to a month. It was pretty scary to see. And so it's just pivoting that business model to bring in every penny that counts, just to keep things turning. I guess the other part of it is, I came back to run the business. My business partner got locked down in Austria. I came back and sent my management reduced hours off-site, so we've still kept them employed, but heavily reduced hours. One employee we had to furlough, and I ran the whole business on-site for probably about 3.5 months till my manager came back, and we entered into phase 1. So we made a lot of cuts from like the breakfast. We used to offer like a pretty nice continental breakfast, how to make, we just started slashing everywhere, cutting everything. It's a long-term program. Coming back and running the business, furloughing some employees and reducing their hours, and just cutting every expense that you literally don't need. So, yeah. That was the 3 aspects of surviving COVID. But not a lot of businesses were able to pivot their business model. I think that's the unfortunate thing about it.
You have to think on your toes and trust your intuition. Like, you have to make moves. You can't think too long on it. You can't sit on it.
Nope, that's exactly right. And that is God, bringing this all home. I have seen so many business owners, it's sad, whether they think they want to close or stay open, or how they should operate and navigate, government policies. At the end of the day, I think if you just demonstrate you're putting your best foot forward and you're really trying to do, like my business, we require mask mandatory inside, but yet we're still community space and close lodging. We've empowered our guests to, we have our employees doing COVID rounds every 2 hours and sanitizing, but we also empower our guests to treat shared space like a gym. So, you go to a gym, and this is even before COVID, and you use a workout bench, you use something, you would spray it down and wipe it, and then you would use it. So we put up a lot of signs saying to treat this space like a gym. And so they got done using the showers, they'd spray down the showers, which is some bleach water, and disinfectant, and same thing with like a coffee table perhaps. So we empowered our guests to kind of pick up and clean up after themselves, because frankly we would fall short. Any business would fall short. A lot of restaurants fall short. But I think people were willing to be our guests were really willing to be malleable, take that extra step, and protect them, protect others, and just keep on traveling. And I think using that intuition and just doing it, I think it's important that you just it's I hate to say it, and it's so cliche, but it's almost better to do and then ask for forgiveness later, and it's not necessarily the right mindset, but you just got to put your best foot forward and just keep on doing it. And I find that there's a better outcome. So whether you make a right decision or a wrong decision, it's better to make an extreme decision. And to highlight that a little bit better is, if you just make a decision that's kind of wishy-washy, maybe it's something like, I don't know, trying to obey by the rules of, what are in place, and it's just, you want to test something and you're just trying to barely test it, like a concept, it's not going to work. You need to go all in or all out, or you need to make a really, really good decision or a really, really bad decision. And the value of that is, even if you made that bad decision, you will know it's a bad decision, and you will know it's a bad decision much faster. That's actually a basic principle that my business partner and I really operate with, is just making quick, fast decisions and extreme decisions, because you get better outcomes, and you get those outcomes much faster. I think that kind of brings it all home. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great piece of advice, not just in business, but in life in general. Make big decisions, go all in. One way or another, you're going to find out if it was the right choice or not.
Yep.
And the sooner you figure that out, the better.
You learn, pivot. Yep. Oh my gosh, so much less stress the sooner you figure it out. Absolutely.
And then you get to, like you said, you get to pivot. You get to be like, okay, that didn't work, so now what? Here's this other big choice. Do it. Okay, it works or it doesn't. It leads you in a different direction. Yes. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up, Frankie. It's been so great chatting with you and hearing about your business. I have a few
Yeah.
questions I like to ask at the end of a podcast.
Yeah.
So if you could tell every human on the planet one thing, what would it be?
Well, the first word that comes to mind is send it. But I think that's getting a little bit overrated now. I like to just send, and I send all the time. But yeah, wow. That was the first word that jumped to my mind. I don't know if I should stick with that or not.
Hey.
But yeah, I like it. I guess it's fitting.
Go with it. Send it. Okay. And what is your current life motto or mantra?
Oh,
Send it.
does send it work? Yeah. Does that work again? Oh God. Man, I think. Oh man, what's
There's no wrong thing
I'm
to
not,
say here. Whatever pops in
yeah.
your mind. No judgment.
I guess it's kind of biblical, I suppose. I'm not so religious. I come from a religious family, but I'm more spiritual. But I think it's just kind of treat everybody the way you want to be treated. I think that it's simple. It's super simple. So yeah, I don't know if that's more of a mantra. I suppose it's kind of be treated like you want to be treated, or treat others like you want to be treated. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
that would definitely be a life motto for sure.
Yeah.
And then, Frankie,
I
I know people are going to want... Oh, go ahead. Continue.
No, I just think that's just paying it forward. Yeah, like that's good karma. That's it.
Yeah, what we put out comes back, for sure. So I know people are going to want to connect with you. How do they do that?
Yeah.
And how do they find Bunk and Brew?
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Well, I guess literally Googling Bunk and Brew or at Bunk and Brew is Facebook, Instagram, and I guess for myself, anybody could direct message me. I'm happy to have a cup of coffee or a digital chat. Give any type of guidance or advice, or just share a life lesson that I've experienced along my journey. But yeah, and I guess that would just be through my own Instagram is probably easiest. So it's just pretty much my last name at Maduzia, so Maduzia, and then a 1 at the end. I have no idea why I put Maduzia 1, but I think I made that when I was like 10. So I don't know. Or Frankie, so at bunkandbrew.com, they could email. So yeah, happy to always have a chat with anybody else. I like to share the knowledge of small business and starting something.
Yes. And as we do that and we share with each other, the whole world becomes a better place. We all step more into our power.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for taking this time to sit down with me and chat and share your journey into business.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the call. It was amazing to meet you in Mexico, and hopefully our paths will cross again.
I have no doubt they will.
Yay. Cool. All right. Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to this episode, the 3rd episode of Wise Human with Frankie. If you found some wisdom in the episode, maybe you thought of a friend while you were listening, share it with them, forward it to them. If you enjoyed it, leave a 5-star review. This helps the podcast reach a greater audience. Like it, comment. You can follow on Instagram, Facebook, at Wise Human Podcast. If you want to share your story, you can go to the website, www.wisehumanpodcast.com, and there's a link in the bottom right that says share your story. It will take you to a short form to fill out, and I will get back to you. Have a beautiful day, and until next time.